Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Coffee, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Cannabear, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Mr. Amish, Sensible Goat, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, J Melds 24, Unimento, Iron 26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, Level Plain Poem, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Rob W., Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, Charion Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
The Bible was kind of re-engineered by the Masons to make Israel some kind of a thing, some kind of a country or state.
Oh, sure, that doesn't surprise me. They've changed so much.
Yeah,
They made new maps and all that with no Palestine there, you know?
yeah,
They
exactly.
erased indigenous people.
It's crazy. It's
Yep.
just crazy.
Yep. And they're blaming them for all the evils that they're doing. They're literally projecting all the evils that they commit, they just blame them for it. And the world believes them because they got the whole world by the balls, blackmailing. Every government of every country is blackmailed by Israel. And people are like, oh, no, like, how are they capable? Yeah, because they own everyone. And this is nothing new, man. Like, this has been going on for decades. Just that it's been a conspiracy. Now, common man is finding out who's the real evil and who's defending their home.
We're skirting a little close here.
Say that again, Righteous? No, I know, that's what I mean. Like, dude, yeah. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, bro. Let's, Earth is measured flat. Good morning, Mr. Danny Faulkner, once again. Thanks for joining. Hope everyone is entertained at least with the conversations. No pressure. No pressure to mic up and speak, as long as you entertain. We
What
will.
was the name of that Bible that you mentioned earlier? Someone said the name of a new Bible or something. I didn't hear what you said.
He
think
said
Gilly
Schofield.
Schofield.
Yeah, I said 2013 Schofield.
Oh. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's supposed to contain some different maps and different changes to the original Bible. Like, people used to keep Bibles in their families and write down who was born under what marriage, their lineage, their tree. It was like an heirloom that went between people, and it changed kind of after this 2013. It was added to the whole thing. Yeah, that's what I heard.
video that you covered the other day. It was a good show.
You mean these YouTubers reply back?
Yeah, I
don't
wanted
know.
to see if he ever replied back because he was asking in the video, let him know, what he thought about it. So I thought, hoping this one would actually reply back.
Hmm. The only one I recall replying back was maybe Sam and Dan. I'm not even sure about that one at the moment. But oh yeah, Dull too. There was a back and forth with Dull also. Dull eventually did come on the show.
And Matthew Lands, I think, as well. I think.
Oh yeah, he's got a YouTube channel too. Okay.
Yeah, I think he had a video and he covered it and he did reply. And he admitted a few things. There's a while back, that one there.
Okay.
Matthew has two channels. His main
Yes.
channel and his backup channel where he published the response video to Nathan's video, and he didn't link it.
Oh, yeah, he did it to the rubbish channel, I think. That's it.
Yep.
Well, maybe he's got like a public profile channel and like a side thing where he does his FE stuff channel.
Yeah, kind of like that.
I mean, keeping those lives separated, so to say.
Wonder why? Because one of them has like 500,000 subscribers, and the other one has I don't know how
Well,
many. Less, a lot less.
I don't know. I think it's all right to do that. I mean, you got one crowd and then you got another crowd, right? So you keep the crowds in their own lane, so to say. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. At least not at the moment.
Why does it have to be a sport?
Why does it have to be a what?
Sport.
Sports? Or bort or what? I still
Yeah,
didn't
why
get
do you
that.
see it as them against you?
Oh, I don't see it like that. Yeah, I don't look at it like that.
I hope that's true, but many do.
Okay. So what are you saying this morning, Eyeless?
I'm just working. What about you?
I'm just chilling, I guess. Just relaxing. Just got up morning.
Oh yeah, it's afternoon here, 1:20.
Are you from the UK too?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of UK folks on this channel and following Nathan. And lots of UK folks in the FE general, it seems like. I never thought that place was that big. But you guys, there's a lot of people from there.
65 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the population, I think, somewhere around that.
All right. Yeah, it's interesting how the English language like dominated, right?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, I wondered the same thing.
back in the Bible days, wasn't what was the dominant language? Was it Latin? No, Greek. Was it Greek, Latin? What what was the dominant language in those days?
Hebrew and Greek.
Okay. Well, yeah, obviously, I was just specifically thinking the New Testament days. But yeah, New Testament. Well, I was thinking New Testament. So yeah, now it's switched around. Now it's English. Not that I mind or anything. I actually like the English language. I am bilingual too. I speak Romanian, so I speak a Latin language, and I do like the English language. But it is different how you express yourself, like in the Latin language compared to like an English language, and same with the other languages. I think that's one of the benefits of speaking another language is you can experience how that is, what a difference it makes, how you communicate, how it affects the cultures, and so forth and so on.
Pathway, like thinking pathways.
What do you mean pathways?
So the way that you might arrive at a thought. So for example, like in languages where people write from right to left, there if you looked into like marketing at all, this is sort of a very basic example, but the way that people see speed, for example, they see if something goes right to left, that means it's moving forward because they write that way. But in Western cultures, if you want to show a fast car in a advert, for example, or no, as a logo, as a not as a any, I'm chatting shit. Yeah. So your pathways of thinking, the direction in which you might arrive at a different thought, the perspective that you have of it, whether it's your own or whether you can imagine a third perspective that isn't your own, but you would imagine might be. Anyway, yeah. So thinking pathways, the ways you arrive at different thoughts from the way that you've understood what has come before you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see what you're saying.
What's that, new guy? Who else said that? I cut you off.
No, I was just agreeing with Illis. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You do? I'm still thinking about it, but okay.
Yeah, because if you write from left to right and right to left, you might see things in a different way naturally. I can't explain it either, to be honest. I see what you're saying.
It's
All right.
it's it's like the way your brain programs itself is all like. So when from, I mean, I need to formulate this better before I start speaking. But yeah, hold that thought if you're interested. But we can talk about something else.
It's like how you interpret art also. Like if you look to the
Exactly.
right of the frame, then it's towards the future, it's hope or something like that. And if you look back, that is something that is hurtful or yeah. But I fully grasp what you're kind of conveying here. It's cool.
So there might be, I've not actually looked into this, but in those paintings, for example, if there was examples of places where they write from right to left, does their art show the future to the left of the frame, for example? I don't know this, but it would be interesting if it showed in stuff like that as well, and maybe I could look into that right now. But yeah, that's the idea, is in the West the future is on the right of the frame, but in other countries it's not because it's the wrong way round, it's because that's the way that they experience writing. So yeah, it's the opposite way round. So the future is on the left.
But then you have the Chinese language where the symbols are actually concepts.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, you think in concepts rather than letters and words.
Yeah. And isn't that based on the elements somehow? Like the order of things? the ground, the water, the fire,
Yeah, yeah,
the air.
somewhat. Hmm.
Right.
I mean, there is a lot more to it. I don't actually know, but yes, that is something I've. Anyway.
Like this definition of flow, for instance, represented in a symbol, the wind or something that has flow as an element to it.
Hmm.
It's become quite rigorous the way people think today. There's a lot of either ors and true or false kind of statements, and it's kind of difficult to navigate to
Yeah, it's
expand
like
the intelligence.
two or more things can be true at the same time, and it's not about whether you think they can. It's like, how are they actually all true at the same time? Because there's no saying about whether they are, for example. But people just want a single truth, and then that will lead to another single truth. But really, lots of things are just true at the same time. And we should be discovering how that is possible, and not that we don't believe it.
What I was thinking when you told me that, I was focusing on the aspect that, like, they really study this out, like how to advertise to people and how, what works when you advertise to people and stuff like that. So that's what I was thinking of. So they probably amassed like quite the data on how this works, right?
Yeah, and there's literally, yeah, you can make people click a one button more than another quite reliably, with just knowing what the mind does when it looks at things.
Right. So
You can manipulate it.
this can be weaponized too, right?
Yes, it
So,
has been. This is what I'm saying. Marketing is weaponization of this, of your mind against
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. When
Well,
I was
that's
in,
also with schools. Like the ringing of the bell. What does that signify? An emotional impulse. I have to eat, or
Exactly. Exactly.
crazy, you know.
yeah, when I was in high school and I learned about marketing, I don't know what was it, grade 10 or something like that. We had like a moment where we were discussing marketing, and I was like, "How is this legal?" That was like one of the things that I
Yes,
remember thinking.
exactly.
I was like, "How
Yes.
is this legal?"
It's manipulative and evil, man.
I think like there's a
Right.
master key that I found in dealing with impulse control, uh, especially when it came to ads and stuff like that. I saw people yawning around me, and I was under the influence of ayahuasca. So when I saw people yawning, I saw a thought become an instant emotional reaction that manifests into a physical reaction. And that is somehow infectious. And what the experience taught me, that meditation, when you meditate, you lengthen the path it takes for the thought to manifest into an emotional response. And the more you lengthen that, the more quicker you can stay away from the negative aspects and impulses that we usually are constantly generating throughout the day. Yeah. So the cheeseburger is just a yawn reaction triggered by our taste buds seeing something visually and tasting it.
That's fascinating. Thanks for that.
Like thoughts create emotion. That's one of the tricks in acting. So if you want to become when you're acting, you want to be emotional or then you have to think that for a while until you reach that state. And it's like when you laugh, you can fake a laugh, and then the laughter becomes truer. And this is just realizing that your intention can become a thought, and you're in control of that.
And you can practice that and become an expert at it.
Exactly. And I think these gurus, or whomever, have reached enlightenment in our lifetime or theirs, we're just mastering this. What is actually true? And what is the science of what is actually true? And how can I maximize the experience?
What is the intent of your mastery? Is it self-glory or is it God's glory? Because God is master of all things, and a master of one thing might be brilliant, but there are many other things that are also true that they have not mastered. So what do they use their mastery for? Themselves or others? And to what end? To find truth or to be truth? Because one of those is fallible.
I think you just described Sir Isaac Newton.
Well, I think we've lost the plot. I think we gotta move on to something else.
The plot is life.
So, Alice, what do you think about this whole scene, this whole Effie scene? Do you think us Effie folks that do you think we believe this stuff, or do you think we're trolling, or
I think there's
what's
a
your
bit of
honest
both.
opinion?
I don't
What?
know. Some of it's way too real to be trolling, or these people are like literal geniuses, and they have mastered something. But I don't know. The
Well,
way that it's then described is, yeah, I'm doubtful that these people are geniuses.
the reason I asked you is because that's what I thought originally. I originally thought these guys aren't serious; they're trolling, right? That's what I originally thought. And that's why I wanted to ask you if you had that thought too.
I think the majority here believe it. And if you don't, and you're hearing this, you have clowned me, and I will give you credit for that. But otherwise, I think you honestly believe it.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's fundamental after God. And that's what's concerning.
It's concerning. Go on.
Well, that's why I don't think it's flat. Like, it's concerning that somebody could hold such a belief and delude themselves into doing it.
Not a belief.
Yeah, we told him that, Neil, yesterday about 100 times. He just keeps on pushing his narrative. It's all right. He wants to talk about beliefs. Go ahead, bro.
Once you measure something, it's fact. If I measure my room and it comes up 12 by 15, I don't believe it's 12 by 15 anymore. I've measured it. I now know my room is 12 foot wide by 15 foot long. That's just to dumb it down a little bit.
He knows, man. He was explained that yesterday about 10 times. This is just his way of coping and dealing with the situation. But either way, thanks for coming back. Thanks for coming back, Phyllis.
The
Nice to have you
difference
here.
is the way you
Well, that's
approach the thoughts.
I was going to say, it sounds like projection to me. But after listening to
Yes,
everything you said
All right,
yesterday,
hold on a second, guys.
projection.
Let's calm down. Let's calm
yes, I
down.
am. I am
Wait, let
perceiving
me
the
just
thought
get
from
mine in.
another
Let me
perspective.
just.
Yes.
It's the strength of heliocentrism. That's what it is.
No, no, no. It's not. It's not that. It's more than that.
He's
It
listen.
includes that, but it's more than that.
Listen to the context he used the word believe in. Okay. Remember, we believe on Jesus Christ as Christians. That means to know Jesus Christ. All right. Like, remember doubting Thomas? I told you guys about doubting Thomas. Doubting Thomas seen the evidence. He handled Jesus. You know what I mean? He seen the palm print. He put his finger through. And then he said, I believe. So in that context, he's saying, now I know. That's the context Ilis was talking in.
Yeah, and so you approach the idea as if, oh, I think this is true, therefore this is true, rather than how is it possible that this isn't true? We should be working outwards, not back inwards. How is
Well,
it possible that this is not true? You should
well,
know how it's not possible for the Earth to be
well,
flat, to be so confident that it is. You
look,
are unwilling to discover what is not possible.
Ilis, it took me like good 3 months of solid looking into it until I was finally 100% persuaded.
Yeah, I believe that.
All right, so I didn't
And
just
and you've
willy-nilly just
convinced
accept it
yourself
on blind
by
faith,
it.
okay? I didn't accept
Yeah, but
FE on blind faith.
you didn't have the
You say
measurements
3
back then,
months.
right? Either.
You
We
say
don't have
3
the
months.
same
I say a
information.
lifetime.
No, once the 3 months, somewhere around 3 months, it hit critical mass where I was like, oh yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, I believe the
All
Earth
right,
is flat.
righteous. But if you would have had what we have now, there's no way it would have taken you 3 months. No way.
What's that mean?
Well, oh, well,
Why not? Rather than say there's not possible, try to find out how it might be possible that it happened in 3 months. You see what I mean? There's two perspectives. It either is true and it is possible and there is a truth about it being true,
well,
or it's not possible and you're unwilling to discover why.
I looked at it.
No,
I've
I'm
been in the
Or
talking
you
scene for a
know
while,
why
about.
and
Alice.
can describe.
I've been at the scene for a while now. I looked at it for a while. It's and I've seen
I
all this,
believe,
all the arguments the globe side presents, and it's just so,
but that's
instead
the
of
thing.
bringing me back, it solidifies my position.
This isn't about whether it's a globe or not. This is about what we are literally, our literal existence. Like the foundation of our existence relies on how this thing exists. It's not just about whether it's flat or it's not just about the Earth's shape. It's about literally life.
How what thing exists?
What
You
what
know,
does the heliocentric model push? It
It's
pushes
got
Big
nothing to
Bang.
do
It
with
pushes
any
evolution.
heliocentric
So you're
model.
right. It
The
does affect how
geocentric
people think
model
of
was
life.
also formed around a globe. The
But hold
geocentric
on,
model works on a
hold,
globe.
hold on a second, Alice. Let me. I'm trying to show you something. You said it's about life and so forth
Can't
and so
anymore.
on, and how it's
I won't.
influencing
It's okay.
people. And then when you look at it from that angle, you're right. The heliocentric model influences people to believe in Big Bang and influences people to believe in
No, it
evolution.
doesn't. That's what you think it does. There's no narrative. It's just life. God has told us it's just life. Fuck the narratives. There's 1,000 narratives. We
That's
just
right.
spoke about how marketing is used to manipulate people. If we understand this, why then are we not seeking how these things are true rather than thinking that they're not?
Wait a
We
second.
must.
If you understand marketing and stuff like that, you have to realize that this stuff was pushed and
Yes,
marketed.
and that's not what I form my opinions on. This is what I'm saying. It's true that I haven't formed my opinions on these models on NASA, and that it's also true that I think it's a globe,
That's wrong
or that I
because you have
know that it's a globe.
no. That's wrong because you've been taught that from school.
No, but you've been taught this by a small group of people that are all have very specific information, specifically on how it might be flat. But there are also things that are true at the same time as these things. But you're unwilling to hear them out because you're unwilling to accept something otherwise. But
Not
everything
me.
just keeps adding up to it not
I
being flat.
I listened to both sides for years now.
exactly.
All right. Both of you
Plain
guys were
propaganda
coming in.
just feels a bit more personal. That's it.
Hold on a second.
Think for
Let's.
yourself. Why do you believe it? Not
That's
what is technically true. Why do you believe it? And why does this technical truth hold so much weight?
all right.
What are we
Back to
unwilling to listen to? I might
Not
have
everyone
bad
here.
service. I'll be back in a minute.
He's saying, what
Not everyone
haven't we
here.
listened? What haven't we been willing to listen to, Alice? That's what he asked you.
So it's just when I think Brian popped up, he just shut it down. His first thought was like, no, I can measure my room, therefore I think all these things. But there's just a wild leap to make. There's no sense to be made from that claim.
All right. Well, let's just say it was an instance where they shut it down. Everybody goes through moments where they like might shut things down in the moment and then later reflect on it and go, wait a second. You know what I mean? So you can't just necessarily go by something in the moment in that case. I remember that happening with me. I remember somebody one time pointed something out and it went against how I seen it or understood. But then after a while, I kind of like sat on it. And then like by the next day, I'm like, wait a second, the penny dropped kind of thing. So yeah. But yeah, I understand. Sometimes we when we understand certain things a certain way, our first reaction can be to reject anything that comes against it, right? Like FE. My first reaction to FE was reject, 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 and went rejecting for a long time. Okay, I was like actively rejecting it, left, right, and center. I had to like
You know
slip
why, right?
by me. What's that?
You know why, right?
I'm not rejecting it.
Oh, wait a second. Neil said, "I know why. Because I've been programmed to reject it."
You're darn straight.
Yeah. You see, I've come to realize that when
I'm not
somebody
rejecting
reacts,
it.
when somebody reacts very strong against something, it could be programming there, if not 100% programming.
Do you see how that can work both ways? Or many ways?
With the
Yeah,
nature of
but
our
you got to
reality where
realize
we
I was
live,
on both
it's
sides.
programming.
Remember, you got to realize I was on both sides of the fences. I was a Glober, and now I'm FE. You've only been a Glober. You never experienced the other side. We're trying to show you the other side, but you're still stuck on
Yes,
the one side.
but what I've been shown and what I can observe of myself is just, it's not significant enough. It doesn't seem to be true. I just cannot believe it
All right.
because
Well,
of how fallible it is, and because of
actually, no, you got it backwards. If you stop and think about it, everything about the globe starts with an assumption. There's not one solid
no, it
foundation to build
doesn't.
upon. All
No,
right,
it
show me.
doesn't.
Give me one. Give me one.
Literally, why does the sun go below the horizon?
That's an argument from ignorance. You're just starting with I don't know
No,
how
it's
this
not.
works, therefore globe.
No, I'm not saying therefore globe. I'm saying, why does it happen? This is
There
what
you
I'm
are.
saying. I'm not rejecting the flat Earth.
There you are.
All
I'm
right.
trying to figure out
Hold on a
how
second,
the flat
Righteous.
Earth is
Just one
true.
sec.
All right.
So you said
All
below
right.
the
Well, hold on.
horizon.
Say again,
How
Nathan.
does
Below the horizon's a begging the question fallacy. You're inferring its
No, it's
position.
not.
I haven't finished. I've got
No,
2
it's
words
not.
out. Triggered. Zealot. Shut up. I'm just going to interrupt when there's a correction to be made. I'll make it, and then I'll pipe back down. Don't need to trigger yourself. Maybe employ some of that meditation that stops you from, expressing your emotions when someone's correcting you. No, I'm not assuming a globe and ignoring flat Earth, you said. So I have to step in and point out where you're assuming something in the language you used. Below the horizon infers spatial positioning that can be below the ground. Well, the sun can't do that. But in your globe model derived from flat Earth measurements, you can. You inferred it by reification fallacy when you said below the horizon. Just to correct you.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. You won't see it go below. You assume it's going below by perspective.
Yes. And everything that I can observe, like a piece of card going behind a piece of card, it looks just like the sun going behind the horizon.
That's fascinating. So do we base our world on what things look like? Just looks a bit like
On
something
our
else?
observations,
There's me being
you do.
interrupted for the second time after 3 words. I left a little pause, made sure he'd shut up, It finished.
Sorry, Nathan.
Took 3. You don't have to apologise. Shut your triggered mouth, you stupid zealot. It's the second time I've told you, dumbass, to shut up when I'm talking, because you're so triggered that you can't take what I say. Now I'm annoyed with you. Shut your bleeding mouth, you triggered zealot. I haven't finished. Yeah? We measure Earth flat to come with the reification that you constantly employ when you say below the horizon, when you try to draw false comparisons with other things that infer the sun is by begging the question of your reification that came from flat Earth measurements. Now, I'll just point out for my audience, second time I've said that. Has it been addressed? I'll just reiterate the bits that aren't getting addressed. Reification. That's the globe Earth that would positionally allow a sun to go below a horizon that's physically obscuring it. Reification fallacy. Begging the question fallacy, it's the thing you're trying to prove. Yeah. So,
I am
furthermore,
begging
I haven't
for an
finished.
answer to the question.
I haven't finished. Are you such a fuckwit that after me telling you twice to shut your fucking mouth, that you need me to start swearing at you, stupid dumb fuck?
You're a sadist. You should really go to a doctor.
I'm talking, you stupid boy! Tell me I'm a sadist. That's an ad hom fallacy. I'm pointing out the things you haven't addressed, you dumbo. You think I need to be called a sadist? I'm listing that which you have failed to address. I'm on to the third point, which is Earth being measured flat for your reification and begging the question fallacies. Now, that is 3 times I've pointed out his fallacious use of logic. The flaws in his arguments, the assumptions of a sphere he said he wasn't doing. What have I got? I've got interrupted 3 times and called names. Yeah, I'm going to shout at you and swear at you if you keep doing that, you belligerent little prick. Get a grip. When I'm telling you what fallacies you've used, that's not an invitation for you to start interrupting me and trying to undermine that which is factually accurate, going to be laid out by me based on what you said. You did assume your outcome. That's begging the question. You did utilise a reification fallacy of a globe for a horizon to be in the way of the sun when you say it's below it. And you did ignore me pointing that out 3 times, and the fact that to reify a horizon, you need to measure a flat Earth to do it. Now, don't call me a sadist, don't interrupt me, and I don't even need a bleeding reply. That's a conclusion. Those are the endings to all of your positions that you've started to debate with Righteous Force over what the sun will do. Now that I've taken apart all of your crap positions that you told us weren't begging the question, they were, I'll now make a statement about what the sun does and how we utilise it in our latitude and longitude grid that's measured flat for time. We measure the positional data of the sun with respect to the ground that it's above, and everywhere we measure it, it has a zenith position for its ground position, where you can measure it. Ergo, all measurements with respect to the navigation properties and time properties of this celestial item are factually measured flat. Now, just so it's absolutely and abundantly clear to everybody after making that statement, that's not a belief. That is how the systems that we use for mapping and navigating are made and measured and are used to make your globe to reify. That's a conclusion. I don't need to hear another word about you and your stupid belief. There is no response required. Sit down, understand you're getting an order from a flat earther who's taken apart your crap I've had to listen to for a significant period of time, in spite of me telling you yesterday. I don't care about your beliefs. I certainly don't care about your use of fallacy. Now I've done taking it apart, I don't want to hear another word from you. Stupid little man.
You completely changed.
Oh, so you think that means talk immediately after I've told you off? Told you to shut up? Pointed out your fallacy? You belligerent little child. No, you can't take it or tolerate it, can you, little boy? You need to get the last word because you're belligerent. Do you know what belligerent means, son?
Is this an act? Is he?
Do you know what belligerent means? You're being asked a very specific question, you little child. Do you know what belligerent means?
It's like he's getting off on this.
Now you're starting to ad hom me about what I'm getting off on, pervert. Don't tell my audience what I'm getting off on, end quote, when you've had a position of flat earth put to you that you've ignored and are now attempting to add on me about my sexual desires. No, I'm not getting off on telling a prick to stop interrupting me and answer my question. Do you understand what belligerence is, you stupid little boy?
It's irrelevant.
Oh, really? As you constantly interrupt me and feign what I am feeling and desiring through the top of me after ignoring all of the points, after ignoring the demolition of your fallacy use. You feel it's necessary to point out to everyone around you what I, quote, get off on, do you, pathetic, belligerent little boy?
Why does the sun go?
Why are you asking me something? I asked you if you knew what belligerence was. You told me it was irrelevant. You've told my audience what I get off on as a response to the fact you've used a string of fallacies. The fact you've ignored my point of Earth being measured flat for you to reify it into those fallacies that I pointed out. You told my audience what I get off on instead of addressing that. That's non-responsive. You're a belligerent little child. You're still interrupting me.
You didn't address
You're still interrupting me and telling me what I haven't addressed.
Question.
Excuse me, you're not asking the questions. You're not in control. That's what belligerence means. Now, you're too stupid to maybe go and look up what belligerence means. You think it's irrelevant. As you tell me what I should be answering, you're not in charge, you stupid little boy. Well, you had your chance. I left the mic open and allowed you to spew your stupidity for my recording. We all got to listen to you babble on about your stupid nonsense for a prolonged period without any interruption. Then, at the point that I couldn't bear it anymore, I took a giant steaming dump on the utter garbage you spewed, and consistently and calmly took apart every single fallacy that you've used in the last 10 minutes, detailed them by example, not like you yesterday when you spewed that I'd use fallacies and failed to detail any of them because you're a lying scumbag, belligerent glurf who's now continually rumpusing me rather than listening. So given that I'm trying to detail the fallacy use and you're not acknowledging that you're telling my audience what I'm getting off on, eventually I'm going to get sick of you and ask the moderators to remove you. You're not going to destroy my show like you attempted to do with QEs with your belligerence. That won't work here.
I'm not trying to.
That won't work here. I'm telling you to shut up. By the way, this is a continuation of the end of my summary and me telling him that he's not going to talk anymore after using a string of fallacies. I don't want to hear him. All he's done since he's been told what he's going to do on my show is not respect that which he has been demanded to do. He's continually chanted and rumpused and caused audio chaos ever since. Now, I've told you, you're going to shut up. Now, I'm going to summarise that for enough time that my audience feels that it's reasonable with you non-stop rumpusing me and talking through me and ignoring me, not respecting that which I've told you to do. Eventually, I will, with justification, have you removed because you're not listening to me or respecting the fact that I'm in charge here. You don't seem to understand that. You think you can continue to talk. Oh, has he run away?
No, I kicked him off.
Good.
You kicked him off. There's
Yeah,
no need
reaches
for
the
this.
point.
God.
Yeah, it reaches the point where they simply will not tolerate their failures as people to be addressed when I highlight them. No, better to tell the audience what I'm getting off on. Tell them that I'm a sadist, that I'm taking sexual pleasure from pointing out his use of fallacy. Now, that is absolutely and unequivocally unreasonable. There's no reasonable man on this flat plane that would accept that as a reasonable response when I point out his use of begging the question, reification, and flat earth measurements to do it. Telling me what I get off on isn't reasonable. Telling me I'm a sadist isn't reasonable. It's the exact same behaviour he displayed on QE's channel yesterday. He has no respect. All he's got is his pain. That's it. Now, I'll point out that Earth is measured flat if I can get a response when I put it to them first time, second time, third time. No, I'm getting told what I get off on. Not reasonable. Prick.
Yeah, he's in serious pain, and I was wondering. I can't deal with people like that. He immediately went in fallacy.
See what he's doing right
So
now?
we
He
have
keeps
to walk-
joining. Yo, Righteous, can you do something about this, bro? You see what he's doing?
What?
He needs a ban. He keeps joining and leaving.
Ilias, just take him off mute a second and I'll tell him what the score is.
Okay, 1 second.
Ilias, I'm in charge and I'm telling you to shut your mouth. You either do what I tell you or you go. Those are your choices. You're not in charge. You're a belligerent little lying prick. Now, what I've done is taken a
What are
big
you in
shit,
charge of, Nathan?
remove him.
What are you in
He
charge
seems to
of,
think that
Nathan?
he's in charge and
It's an
can talk
open
straight through the
forum.
middle of me telling him
Not
off.
an open
No, Ilias,
forum.
it's time for you to leave. You have no respect. You're not in charge. Now you're going to go. I'm telling
have
you
no
what's
power.
what. No, that's not your
You might
invitation
have
to talk,
power
you
here.
dumbass. I'm not asking you anything, you stupid
Enjoy
little
that.
boy. Now, don't...
Enjoy it, Nathan. This is all the power you have.
Right, my power is taking your argument and pointing out where its fallacy is. Your power is to take a response to your fallacy and turn it into a sexual pleasure I'm getting. That's a pathetic response. It's non-responsive. It's non sequitur. It's also an ad hominem fallacy. Now, while I'm telling this to my audience with you on mute by my end, because I'm not going to tolerate you just chanting through me that I'm getting some sexual pleasure out of listing reification. He's just chanting through me. He's not listening because he doesn't want to listen to the response that I've given him to his fallacies. He just wants to tell my audience I'm getting off on this. I can't do it, server operators. Can't do it. Can't do it, can I? Can't run a show. This little bitch has decided that he's going to destroy my show, isn't he? Yeah? So eventually, for my audience's benefit, I have to appeal to the server moderators to shut him up. Yeah? He's not going to be told, I'm in charge, I'm running this show, it's mine, and when I tell you, you will shut up or go away. No, what he decides is, no, enjoy it. You're getting a sexual kick out of what? Running a decent live show without a wanker chanting through me as I tell him what his fallacies are and he ignores them in favour of telling me what I'm getting off on. Telling me to enjoy, what, repeating your fallacy 6 times with you ignoring it? You're not listening to the responses you've had to what you've said. You had plenty of time without me talking through you. You were given completely unimpeded air to chat crap, and once you had, I addressed every little bit of it. What you did after I addressed it was tell my audience I'm getting off on it, and then incessantly babble non-stop. No. Like yesterday, I'll just laugh at that, Ilias. Yeah, I am in charge. That's correct. Now, you better get used to it, or eventually you'll be banned from the server. Because we can't have intolerable pricks that won't be told. Yeah, they won't have the respect that they need to have here for me. If they can't do that, then they can't be here. Now, you can take that however you like. You can infer that I take a sexual gratification for it. And again, when you do, I'll point out how non-responsive to an address of your fallacies that is. Now, I'll give you one last chance to come off mute and do as you're damn well told by shutting up. Or perhaps addressing the actual fallacies I've taken apart that you used.
My question was simply, how does the
I
sun
didn't ask anything other than a response. He's asking me something. You're not going to take charge of the conversation, Ilias. You think in your stupid, shallow-minded brain that if you start asking the questions, you'll retain the control of the conversation. No. This is your choice. Shut up or address the use of begging the question, reification, and flat earth measurements. That won't be starting with a question of me. It won't be your attempt to recontrol this subject and discussion. I am in control of it. You will address what I put to you after I've listened to your crap and addressed it with a rebuttal. You can either address the rebuttal or get lost. And yeah, I can do that. Yes, I am in charge. Maybe on a neutral platform, your attempt to recontrol this subject and discussion by asking me a question rather than responding on the 7th attempt would have been tolerated by the moderation team. Well, no, here that's not tolerated. I'll point out to the audience over and over again that I've pointed out a reification that used flat earth measurements and a begging the question fallacy, and I'm being told I'm getting a sexual gratification in response. And then I'm being asked something. So that's a fail. Non-responsive. I don't need a question. I need you to sit down, shut up, accept defeat, or attempt to re-engage with the discussion that you failed when I pointed out your use of fallacy. You understand?
Nathan, he already has a show banned, so let's leave him muted. It's 9 o'clock. It's showtime.
What do you mean he's already show banned? You mean he couldn't tolerate listening to that either?
No,
he's
right.
here. Hold on a second, Mighty. It's Nathan's show, so let's go with what Nathan wants. So he's gonna come off mute and respond to Nathan.
Did you listen to what I just said?
Yes.
Excellent.
Do you want an answer?
There wasn't a question. I'm looking for, I'll have to reiterate it, he's so bleeding stupid that after I've repeated it, I kid you not, 7 times, I'm going to have to repeat it for an 8th time. Either you acknowledge the 3 fallacies you used, right? That would be to utilise a flat earth measurement to infer sphericity, reify sphericity in something you can exist in and take part in when it's a model, and begging the question. That's assuming the very thing you're trying to prove. Now, I have put that to you. Is he literally yammering through me repeating it the 8th time, ladies and gentlemen? This wanker is literally yammering through the 8th repetition of it. What a wanker. No, that was a fail. I failed to repeat it to you, Ilias. I can't communicate with you, son. You're still doing it even as I'm pointing out that I can't communicate with you. It's only reasonable that we remove you permanently from our presence because you are literally incapable of communicating with me. 8 attempts is enough. And it's only going to be deemed reasonable by the audience as you literally, as I'm telling you, we will have to remove you permanently. Can you get rid of Flat Earth Ranger, who's also causing bloody audio chaos as well? No, Ilias, I can't communicate with you. I've made 8 attempts. You thought I was asking you something.
You haven't made any attempts.
I've made 8 and you're still talking through me, even now. I've made 8 attempts. I've given you your choices 8 times. Acknowledge your fallacy use. That doesn't involve me being asked anything. You used the fallacies. I addressed them, pointed them out. I'll do it a 9th time. You used reification, flat earth measurement. Yeah? So maybe address 2 of them. Let's make it a little simpler for him. Reification, that's to assume the thing you're trying to prove. That's a globe in this instance. And flat earth measurement.
I didn't do that.
I hadn't even finished the summary of the 2 things I was asking him. He's telling me he's not doing it before I ended the summary. I've made 9 attempts. 9 attempts. He still can't keep his bleeding mouth shut till there's a pause. It's not like I sat and listened to him for 20 minutes without interrupting once this morning. Literally. I can't do it in 9 attempts. But he thinks he's got a place at this table. You're a prick. You're an unreasonable prick that can't keep your mouth shut, Elias. So I'll make a 10th attempt. If you can't keep your mouth shut for the 10th attempt, obviously I'm going to say, don't even ask, moderators. If he cannot shut his mouth for this, the 9th attempt, permanent ban him. Just never have him back. 10's too many. Okay. You've reified a globe into existence with flat earth measurements. Permaban him.
So
just permaban this prick. Permaban him. Nobody in the audience is going to think it's unjustified to demand he's permanently banned. Literally, you can't communicate. 10 attempts.
Hello, good morning, gentlemen.
About time.
I wanted to round out that tete-a-tete in the pre-show because I don't want to talk to somebody like that. You know, me pointing out 10 times that the conclusion's been obfuscated, ignored, ad hommed, subverted, claimed to be incomprehensible, rumpused. By the time you get to the 10th time, I'm like, this isn't a person that I want to communicate with on the show. I'm not going to be able to take what this guy does, that's talk through the conclusion, and turn it into a video that I can monetize and pay and feed my family with. So get rid of him. He's utterly useless to me. I got what I needed out of him on QE's show yesterday. He confessed nice and calmly, without any rumpusing, that the Earth is measured flat. Now, from that point on, he lost his shit entirely and couldn't cope and now needs to rumpus the living daylights out of every time he and his fallacies are pointed out to him. And he needs to tell me that I'm taking a sexual pleasure out of pointing out a fallacy that he's used? No, at that point, get rid of him. But at the 10th time, while he's telling my audience what's what about me and how I feel and how I behave and why I'm motivated to do what I'm doing, while I'm telling him, if you continue to do this, I'm going to have you permabanned, he literally isn't listening to it because he's too busy and consumed with ad-homming me to listen to me telling him, keep doing it, you'll get permabanned. The audience can hear it, but he can't. Why? Because he's too consumed with his pain. Bye-bye. You already said Earth's measured flat, son. You think I need anything else from you? You think I need to listen to your crap for hours on end on a live show that I've got with an audience that needs to know about how Earth's measured flat and can listen to reruns of you saying it without any interruption? You think that's going to get topped? Nah, you'll just continually use fallacy, continually chant through me pointing out those fallacies, and then somehow allude to the idea that I'm getting off on it, end quote you, after having your fallacies pointed out. Bye-bye forever. And for everybody else, he thinks that that's going to somehow win him a point. Oh yeah, if I lose, I'll start attacking the host and never shutting up because I'm in charge of his live show he's built up over the last 10 years. If I want to talk incessantly and tell you how stupid you are through the top of you on your show, I will. What's belligerence? I don't know. Bye-bye. Get lost. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve?
None at
Earth
all.
curve? What's that?
Not observed, measured, or navigated. No Earth curve.
No. What is Earth curve?
Earth curve?
Some
It only
numbers
comes.
Go ahead.
It only comes in formulas, like Haversine. You take straight angle measurements and then you have to convert it to a curved reference. It's not an actual measurement, it's just a mathematical formula they use.
No, he said formerly known as Earth curve. I never knew any Earth curve.
No, there is none, except for in the maths.
Same thing with that. You added date 109 years. It hasn't been a force in 109 years. I don't like that language. It's never been a force.
That was a weird segue.
Let's just keep doing it.
Okay.
So,
Any scientific?
Listen to that. And people think it was a force at one time.
Yeah, I got that. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Which one?
Any?
But the latest one's like the bending of space-time in a fourth dimension. So I don't think you can actually bend time. And I haven't got a clue where this fourth dimension is to have observed something, then to put it through a scientific method. So it's a little bit of a strange one, that.
Or maybe it's a natural law that's just been built upon.
Okay. You don't build on natural law. Natural law describes that which occurs always in the physical and natural world, not to be confused with physics. Natural science is the establishment of cause and effect. Natural law is the description of that which occurs always.
Starting to become a natural law that globers will always lie.
Now you can build upon that.
Yeah, what they don't like is being told, and I know it, so I'll do that more. The more I've figured out what they don't like being told off and then told what to do by a flat earther. They've come to lord it over here while they're in pain, and they think in their deluded mind that coming here and telling a flat earther what's what with their intellectual superiority will somehow relieve them of their pain. So when that's what they've come for, the antithesis of that is being shut down, shut up, and told what to do by a flat earther who's just beaten them in an argument. When that happens, they lose their minds. So, I'll lean into that more and more as time progresses. All right, you just used a string of bad logic, didn't you, son? So now you're going to get talked down to, condescended to, and put in your place. And when we're done, that's not going to be our invitation for you to respond. You can sit down and shut up. Oh, you don't want to? Well, eventually, It'll be so clear and obvious to anybody listening that you have become so unreasonable that it is only expected by any normal person to remove you from their presence permanently. Why would we want to talk to somebody who simply cannot take charge of their own faculties when it comes to their issues, their problems, their fallacies that are pointed out by us? Oh, what? We need to hear how we're getting off on it. No, we don't. No, we don't. Those times are over. If you wanted to come and lord it over the stupid flat earthers, you should have done it in the last 10 years. Because in 2024, we're taking people like that numpty that's just been permabanned and getting them to tell us how Earth is measured flat. Because that is precisely what that gentleman did yesterday. Told us all about how Earth is measured flat. Listen up. For everybody listening, over the course of the last 7 months, I thought it would take longer. I assured my audience that we would get flat Earth concessions from Globers in respect to how Earth is measured. He's number 5 in 7 months. Now, I know that there are previous examples pre-2024 that we could go and dig out, but I don't want to. I want to make them nice and fresh, just for you, the audience.
Yes, we can measure the Earth within our vicinity with the tools that we have flat.
Your admission of how Earth is measured. Yeah, not even the host
In your
interruption.
local vicinity.
Not like you're doing now in my victory dance. What this does, though, is it adds tension for the audience because they know how stressed you are about it. I haven't paused. This is still the same monologue. My victory dance, I call it. But it's painful for the opponent who lost. He doesn't want to summarise how he told the audience how Earth's measured flat. He doesn't want to do that. You explicitly stated, we measure Earth flat. Yeah? Because that is how it's measured. I mean, you made a glurf
You're no
apology after the match.
contradiction. Stay stupid, mate. Stay stupid, mate.
Now he's chanting through me, calling me stupid repeatedly through the top of the summary. That was the second summary, and he chanted that I was stupid through the top of it. I got you to tell this audience that Earth was measured flat. That's what I did. And I assure you, your words will be immortalised.
Yes, we can measure the Earth flat.
We'll just take the measurements, son. We okay to just stick with the measurements and ignore your stupid glurf belief? We cool with that? We'll just use the measurements, right? The flat ones? Because that's how it's done. Earth is flat. That's how it's measured for everybody, including this glurf scummy liar. Members only video. Check it out. I've done a whole bunch of them off the back of QE's live show yesterday. Thank you for having us, QE. It was an epic time. How that guy ended up being embroiled in a QE live stream as a glurf, I have no idea, but it was epic. But as you can probably hear, up until the point that he's being pointed out that he's conceding Earth is measured flat by him, he was quite conciliatory, quite polite, nice gaps between the question and the answer. The moment we pointed out that, yeah, so you say we measure Earth flat and that's all cushy, suddenly it's interruption in summaries and I'm stupid through the top of it. And it's continued till today. You know, he's obviously slept on it and he's woken up and still losing his shit over this to the point where he's incommunicatable with.
You got a knack for getting them to make that concession, huh?
It's not difficult. Earth is flat and it is measured that way. So it's not exactly difficult to take somebody to that point because they're going to have to at some stage. All roads lead to a flat Earth.
Yeah, coming out with some bizarre things at the moment. I had one yesterday talking about celestial navigation, and his point was that he admitted that elevation angles are used, and that's a flat horizontal baseline. But he stated that, and I don't know if this is true or not. He was trying to say that the Haversine formulas used within celestial navigation, as if that was some sort of proof that a globe had been measured. I kid you not. That was bacon.
He doesn't realize that that was used to construct the globe.
We got a new glyph in, approximately parallel.
Nothing to do with curvature there.
I can only assume it's a globe believer because it's a contradiction in terms as his title.
Maybe he should introduce himself.
Or he's a flat earther that's recognised the obvious contradiction in terms and flaw in their argument when they say approximately parallel. Like a little bit pregnant.
It's getting harder and harder to tell parody nowadays.
Isn't this Sasha? He changes his name every day.
Maybe he's
that's Sasha.
identifying as a flat earther.
It's Sasha.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Yeah, it's me.
So the latter. So your name is an address to the contradiction in terms as a flat earther. Fine. I'm pretty sure I've heard glyphs actually say that. It's approximately parallel. Almost parallel is another one.
Yeah, that's when it comes from diverging plumb bob lines.
Yeah, reciprocating zenith angles, as they call them. What a load of garbage. I'm almost pregnant. I'm almost married. No, you're either married or you're not. You're either pregnant or you're not. You're either parallel or you're not.
Did they do that with Alberoni too? With the measurements, he came like within 7% or something. I remember hearing that back in the day.
That's slightly different. They're saying Alberoni came within 2% of the globe Earth. You're like, well, within 2% of what? What measurement was he within 2% of?
No measurements, just a concept of a model in our heads, like Danny Faulkner says.
Yes, these prolonged silences are because I'm munching on a bacon sandwich. Yes, the terrible intro was because I was munching it just before I pressed go. And yes, we are going to cover a video today. So, this chappie is called Shane St. Pierre. And he released this video 3 days ago. And the title of the video is We Stopped by a Glober Stream. So, please let Shane know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. Is this the guy that you recommended me several times, Craig? He's in front of his mic, he'll answer. If he's not, I guess we'll find out later. Okay, anyway, this person's been recommended, although I believe is a person I've been recommended several times by the guy who keeps this show running in terms of the hardware, who's on the panel right now, which is Click OK Computers, or Craig. And
hello, yeah.
Is this the same guy?
Yeah, Shane. Yeah, it's interesting how he's grown over the last few years.
I'd never heard of him, and I hadn't actually looked into him until somebody last night left a comment with a specific title, enough for me to find him on YouTube with the title of the video and a timestamp for where to start. So I'm going into this blind. I don't actually know what's going to be covered, but the person that sent it to me is a recommendation I trust, and here we go. So
this is a spherical Earth.
My God, dude, we need to go through coordinate systems, datums, projections. I really want to talk to Red, though, about his wonderful evidence with his Polaris distance. First of all, dude, what a rig you got here, right? Like, this is impressive. I love looking at it. I love watching you wield it, you know? But when you look at the sky to get in Polaris measurements, and then you say travel to a different position laterally southward to get a different Polaris measurement, what do you think you're measuring again?
Altitude angle.
Correct. But then, how does that prove the shape of the ground is where I'm losing it.
Oh, okay. Well, apparently you mentioned a whole bunch of things in regarding to, coordinate system planes and stuff like that. So you seem like a very, very intelligent individual. So I imagine a smart individual such as yourself would be able to understand basic trigonometry. Would that be a fair assessment to make?
Well, I don't know. How are you going to apply it?
How are you going to apply what? The flat Earth measurement? He's already got this guy over a barrel. I don't think the guy... maybe I'll ask Craig again. Is this guy super duper forward thinking, knows he's already got this Rhetoric character absolutely over a barrel with this Polaris measurement that needs a flat Earth to get it? Or is he only going to lean on how he applies this flat Earth measurement without pointing it out? We'll just listen on, I guess.
Is there going to be a retardation application, or are we going to use like logic and reason and apply it in real world?
Well, see, right now what you're doing, sir, is answering a question with a question. So let's see if we can have a productive back and forth. So when I ask you a question, I would prefer that you answer directly, not with another question. So to repeat myself,
he literally
just
did that to you, dog.
You know basic trigonometry, SOHCAHTOA, correct?
But I just asked you a question and you responded
again, you
with
are
that
asking,
question,
you are answering
right? And then jumped on me.
Let's ask this again, just to make sure we're on the same page. You know basic.
So, I hate summarizing the debate tactics, but I'm going to anyway. So he asks him a question about elevation angle measurement. And in response to his question, Rhetoric asks him a question. And when the question that has been unanswered and responded to with a question is reiterated, Reds tells him, after muting him, that he's not going to tolerate questions for responses. Okay?
Trigonometry, SOHCAHTOA, correct?
Correct, yes.
Perfect. I'm so happy to hear that. See, we're fine.
I'm so happy your question managed to perceivably regain control of this conversation, Red. I wonder if... Is it Shane? Shane will bring this back on track in terms of what the measurement actually is, or not. We'll find out.
Finally having a productive conversation. Now, I'm going to show you something real quick. Let's go ahead and bring this up. Would you agree that this diagram right here is basic trigonometry?
I guess we should have a closer look. Let's blow this up for an audience, because, correct me if I'm wrong, this looks like a flat Earth elevation angle, unless I'm very much mistaken. Everyone see that? Check into the live stream if you can't.
Trigonometry, SOHCAHTOA level.
Yep.
Can you hear how uncomfortable he is?
Now, would you agree that via
he has
basic
no idea what he's about to walk into.
Was that someone from my panel? Or is that Shane St. Pierre reacting to... I don't really understand what's going on. We'll find out.
Using these points, Boston, Miami.
Was that someone on my panel saying you can hear how uncomfortable he is?
No, I think that was Shane's buddy.
Oh, so he's sort of giving a colour commentary as it's going on. Okay.
Panama City. So Boston, Massachusetts, Miami, Florida, Panama City, and stuff like that. That we can...
Yes, whoever it was that pointed it out, yes. I can hear the tension in his vocal cords. Better than hearing me burping. But nevertheless, as embarrassing it is for me to be munching food at the beginning of a live stream, yes, you can definitely hear the tension. He's suspecting that this could go badly. And he's worried about it. Rhetoric, that is.
Find angles to Polaris if we were to assume an altitude of 5,000 kilometers. Is that correct?
You could find an angle if you were to assume a height, sure.
All right, you can find an angle if you can assume of height. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if Polaris is a certain altitude above and we were able to find...
No, so what he's doing is he's taking this to, if we're going to measure a flat Earth and I can whistle past that, how do we get the height? So he's going to try and whistle past the flat Earth measurement to say that the flat Earth measurement isn't valid because of the height of Polaris.
Find that altitude or find the angle given that altitude, then by...
You'll never get the altitude of Polaris with an angle. Yeah, if you back away from Polaris, it recedes towards the horizon. When you get to the quote-unquote equator, does that mean it's smashed into the ground? Nah, it's still above its GP. It's not smashing into the ground. You can't get its height, unless you want to infer that it is literally smashing into the ground at its minimum.
by having an angle.
Oh, just so it's clear, minimum elevation angle taken from a flat Earth, because that's the only way this angle can be measured. Now, again, it hasn't been pointed out on this stream by Shane, but the only way you can get this angle is if you measure a flat Earth to get it. It's an angle. It's two straight lines. One of them's the baseline meeting the GP at 90. This is a flat Earth measurement.
We can then work backwards to find an altitude, right? This is basic algebra. Would you agree?
Red, I agree.
Well, you shouldn't have, because he's Jedi mind tricked you into accepting trig. When you're doing it with the stars, including Polaris, you're not doing trig, you're doing celestial navigation or deriving latitude. That's not trig. That's celestial navigation. But now we've got we're doing trig, so presumably we can get the opposite. Nobody's trying to calculate the height of these stars. You're trying to navigate with them, derive systems and grids on maps for that purpose. But those are angle measurements that require Earth be flat to measure them.
Okay, perfect. So the question is, if we were to work backwards on a flat Earth,
with these angles that can only come from a flat Earth,
and we got contradictory answers, what would that tell you about your model?
Did he even assert a model? Is he just throwing this little straw man in for good measure at the end? I suspect so.
Well, it would tell you that due to perspective, things appear to be at a different altitude, right? Because if a person observes a plane in the...
Is this Shane talking? Shane, no. In terms of things appearing at a different altitude, no, I'll let it slide.
Same situation and then moves laterally to observe the same plane, it's at a different elevation angle based on the same trig to get a ground position for it, and then due to the height, you're going to get different heights for that plane. The plane hasn't moved, the people are. What's up with that?
Interesting, because if I remember correctly, perspective is alpha equals 2 times the arctan of...
What Shane did just do is point out that it's a flat Earth elevation angle measurement that changes with respect to the plane that you measure it off. Now, Red doesn't address that, has he? He's just babbling in maths at him.
G over 2r, where alpha is the angular size.
You just had a flat Earth plane measurement pointed out to you, Reds. Is this what you do when you're screwed? Spew a bit of maths?
As the object, G is the actual size of the object, and R is the distance to that object. I don't think law of perspective states that the
You'll need a flat Earth for the law of perspective.
Apparent position will appear to shift. What it says is that the available resolution of your eye will eventually...
You'll need a flat Earth for angular resolution. That's perspective.
Become insufficient to make out the object, but point light sources are a little bit more visible in that it doesn't entirely rely on angular size. So since
angular size with respect to a flat plane, you can't do this on a globe. It's not possible. The orthographic view doesn't give you angular resolution on a globe. Your mathematics are devoid of perspective on a globe. There is no globe perspective. There is no angular resolution. You describing those measurements and the law of perspective, which requires a flat plane to describe it with angles that you can't use, is nothing more than a flat Earth proof. In every single shape, form, and guise of every word that has just been uttered by Red Rhetoric, you need a flat Earth for it.
That has nothing to do with position. Can you please tell me why you brought up that incredibly irrelevant statement?
Everything you just detailed required a flat Earth, Red Rhetoric.
Angular size derivation for the angular resolution limit for point source doesn't really apply when you're looking at, say, an elevation angle above the horizon to compute a height. You started with basic trig, and then you unloaded what had to be some nice globular... I mean, that was a wonderful speech on perspective, the derivation thereof, point source of light, and how that would apply. But it is specifically, right, because you said if we have these angles and we assume a height, we can make a calculation, and I agreed. And we can do the same.
But we don't need to. We don't need to assume a height. We're measuring elevation angle, which is not height. It's elevation angle. It's the angle between the flat plane that you're measuring off and the perceived position in the sky with respect to that flat plane. Those two lines form the angle that you measure. So flat Earth's needed. Man, this guy's good. He's. I hope he summarizes by pointing out all of this is a flat Earth requirement.
Thing with a plane, and the results are the same, except now the plane is at a different height. So what?
He's saying it. He's just not overtly stating it in terms of this is a flat Earth proof. You can't do anything other than measure a flat Earth to get it. He's asserting it with the plane, But it's almost like he doesn't appreciate the strength of his own argument.
Actually, no, you're wrong there. And that's the thing that you apparently missed, because what I said, because apparently you tuned out, so I'll repeat.
Ad hom. Let's see if he addresses the plane that's being used.
That if we were to apply our measurements to a flat Earth.
Not apply them to apply the measurements that you got from a flat Earth. There it is, Jedi mind trick. If we were applying the flat Earth measurements to a flat Earth, they'd fail. That's how they trick you. Because they're going to apply the flat Earth measurements that can only be measured flat to a globe. Therefore, Earth's a globe. But if we apply the flat Earth measurements to a flat Earth, then they fail, says Rhetoric.
We find that we get contradictory statements. So,
no, you can't get the height. That's your straw man that you're trying to peddle here, Reds. We spotted it immediately. But all of the elevation angles which are absolutely utilised in celestial navigation, that's not trig. Yeah, we spotted that little devious trick that you tried to pull. Also, so with celestial navigation, you are measuring these angles. And what's that? You can apply these angles to a flat Earth. Well, they're flat Earth angles already. I don't need to apply them. We've measured Earth flat to get them. But you can apply these flat Earth angles that can only be measured on a flat Earth to a globe and say that they work perfectly. No, they don't, because you wouldn't be able to measure them. But we're going to whistle past that and describe how we apply them after the fact. Yeah, this is the point. All measurements of Earth will be flat. Now, what Reds is saying is once I've got these flat Earth measurements, I can apply them elsewhere. Don't be deceived. Understand implicitly that Red's Rhetoric's going to be using these flat Earth measurements. So if push came to shove and I was in front of Red's Rhetoric right now, I'd be pointing out that he must be measuring Earth flat to get these angles. Not asking where they're going to be applied after he's measuring them, because that's what they've been doing for 10 years. Utilising their flat Earth measurements to suggest their reification of a bull that they got by measuring Earth flat and turning the world into a sphere with those flat Earth measurements that we're going to be applying, Reds. You've already got them though, haven't you? You got them off a flat plane, they're angles. Elevation angles, altitude angles, right, Reds? Maybe you'd like to segue into the law of perspective that also need a flat Earth in order to get away from the fact that you're measuring Earth flat for these angles? We'll point it out.
For example, in Boston, Massachusetts, we have an altitude angle, right?
Well, then you've measured a flat Earth, Reds. I'll point them out every time you use them. So we're in Boston, we're measuring Earth flat with angles. Gotcha, Reds, gotcha. Let's hear what you got to say about this flat Earth only angle that you've just measured in Boston.
That altitude angle...
That would be an elevation angle. Let's define altitude angle, just for Red's Rhetoric, so we're not in any way ambiguous about what Red's Rhetoric is about to detail. The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured, like Red's is doing, between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote, sustainable by design. Other than the bit that I inserted about Red's Rhetoric using this. But it's not ambiguous. Let's just hear him say what he's going to be using again so I can point out that Red's Rhetoric is measuring Earth flat.
Flat Earth. We find that we get contradictory statements. So, for example, in Boston, Massachusetts, we have an altitude angle, right?
The altitude angle, sometimes referred to as solar elevation angle, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle measured between an imaginary line and the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote, sustainable by design there, Red's Rhetoric. You've just measured a flat Earth. I would like to be the first to Red's Rhetoric. Welcome to Flat Earth. We all measure Earth flat.
That altitude angle
will only come from a flat Earth.
We then apply it to the flat Earth. Great, we had...
No, we measured it off a flat Earth to get it. We don't apply it to a flat Earth, we measure it from one, Reds. You seem confused. How was it you spoke to this gentleman about 3 minutes ago? Oh, well, let's have a coherent conversation with someone that's not a Dumbo. We're not applying it after the fact, we're measuring it from a surface. It would be the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. You seem to be confused. We'll need to measure it from Earth first, Reds. You seem to be worrying about how we'll apply this flat Earth measurement after we've got it from a flat Earth. Oh, well, Reds, you seem to have whistled past that flat Earth graveyard. Yeah? The one with all the ball Earths in it? You'll need a flat Earth for this angle. Let's not concern ourselves with how you'll apply it after you've measured it, because you'll measure it flat. This is rather good fun.
Have a asserted altitude for Polaris as seen from Boston.
Nobody's asserting the altitude of Polaris. What we actually use Polaris for isn't its bleeding height. That sounds like a lie and a straw man. I wonder why this glurf scumbag Rhetoric would have to lie about people trying to get heights. All right, you're going to show us where that's been put into practical application, are you, Reds? Or is this just a lying glurf straw man? Because I'm pretty sure we'd get latitude by measuring Polaris. Did you have this stupid, deluded misapprehension that people are trying to get its height? No, when you do this angle, even if you are on a glurf, idiot, spinning ball that you aren't measuring, your heights are infinite. Did you not know that, you stupid, idiotic, ignorant globe believer? Did you think they had an ascribed altitude when you measured the flat Earth with an angle? No, Dumbo. Even your own reification of a globe has infinite distances when doing this. You stupid little man. How dumb are you? Anybody on the globe side thought Rhetoric knew what he was talking about? He's just asserted that elevation angles for Polaris would be taken to get its height? What a stupid man! No, Dumbo, latitude? Did you see latitude and think height? Nobody's getting the height of Polaris, Dumbo. You don't even need it in your glurf religion, you stupid little man.
We then go to Miami and get another measurement, and then
would it be an altitude angle measurement? You just said measurement there. It seems like you left off the altitude angle measurement at a different location on Earth's surface. Okay. So we're getting a, what was the word he used? Measurement. Oh, so we're definitely measuring then in a specific place on Earth. So it's a Earth measurement. Yeah? I wonder what kind of measurement we'll be doing in Florida there.
Then we find that when we measure the altitude angle in Miami...
Sorry, so we're going to measure the altitude angle. So we're measuring, let's define it again from Sustainable by Design. The altitude angle, open brackets, sometimes referred to as, quote, solar elevation angle, end quote, close brackets, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun, and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote. Full stop. Sustainable by Design when defining an altitude angle. So we've definitely measured it. He definitely said measured, didn't he, ladies and gentlemen? And it's definitely an altitude angle that is a measurement of a flat Earth that Rhetoric here is measuring in two different spots on Earth, both of which will be flat, both of which will be measured, both of which will be altitude angles, both of which will require Earth is flat. Welcome to Flat Earth, Reds. Good to have you, son. We all measure Earth flat. You'll need it. You've been doing it for 10 years, haven't you? Yeah, you were doing this 10 years ago to derive R-value measurements. Remember? Inserting them? Maybe smokescreen design, pointing out that you'll be using an elevation angle and then inserting an R-value after you measured Earth flat. Now, 10 years ago, that weren't pointed out to you, were it, Reds? But I'm Nathan Oakley, remember me? And I've just defined what you're measuring, son. It's a flat Earth! Maybe with a lesser, weaker debater, you could infer that we're only going to be applying these measurements after the fact to a globe where they work perfectly. But where did we measure them, Reds? What, in Florida? We got this flat Earth elevation angle in Florida, and we got another one in Boston, an altitude angle that's requiring a flat Earth there, Reds. Welcome to the club, son.
We get an entirely different altitude for Polaris.
Or nobody's measuring for altitude of Polaris, son. We use it for latitude, you Dumbo. Do you think people are out on boats going, oh, quick, get the sextant, we've got to measure Polaris. What for, Captain? We need its height, Captain. Quick as possible. We're going to need the height of Polaris or we'll die. Reds is thick as shit. He thinks people are out on ships measuring heights of Polaris. What a wanker. No, dickhead. We need it for latitude. It's elevation angle, isn't its height, stupid boy. How long you been here, retard?
But then we go to Panama City, and the problem gets even worse. No.
It gets even worse because you're going to measure another flat Earth elevation angle measurement in Panama? Really? I mean, how much worse could it get for a globe that's about to be measured flat 3 times with elevation angles off a flat plane because they're angles? I mean, they can't be anything else. They're definitely not got curve. They're angles. Red's nose is measuring Earth flat. Now we know why the tension in his throat, which is loosened because he's obviously in front of an opponent that doesn't realise how good his argument is.
All of a sudden, we have 3 separate altitudes for...
Sorry, no, we don't have 3 separate altitudes, you stupid idiot. Did you think an elevation angle or altitude angle, as I defined with respect to the horizontal plane the observer is standing on, is actually an altitude? Oh, what a deceitful web we weave, Reds. Did you need to substitute altitude angle for altitude because your argument requires a straw man, where the application of a flat Earth elevation angle measurement doesn't work for height, when no one's getting it? Yeah? Do we make movies about people on boats that are going to be lost at sea unless they can find their position, looking for the bleeding height of the stars? No, son, it's obvious you don't really know how this all works, do you? You think they're out there looking for height. Quick height! Captain, we need it! Immediately! What a thicko. Maybe you should learn how celestial navigation works, Reds. It seemed to me that you thought it was trig. What kind of an idiot are you, son?
Polaris, apparently all at the exact same time. So let me ask you something.
All at the exact same time? The flat Earth measurements that you took? Yeah, they were, weren't they, Reds? High pitch much? Yeah, you got 3 flat Earth measurements that were flat Earth angles off a horizontal plane the observer is standing on in 3 different locations on Earth. I'm pretty sure this is a vast flat area that you're talking about here, Reds, because it could only be measured that way.
Does flat Earth work with magic?
Sorry, how does magic have anything to do with a flat Earth elevation angle measurement when I just defined it as the horizontal plane the observer is standing on? Did you hear magic? No, I'm pretty sure bending a baseline would be a magical property of a globe that you haven't got, because you're going to need these angle measurements, Reds. You're the one referring to them when you measure Earth flat for them, as defined. Sorry, where did magic come into it? They're just angles, son. They're not magic. Do they magically bend? Do the baselines of these angles bend, Red? Is it magic? No, they don't. They're just angles off a flat Earth, son.
Red, this is our first conversation, man. Like, I didn't know anything about you, but you seem to have a lot of this built up, like, hostility. Right? I thought.
Nah, he's got a lot of pent up worry about the fact he's measuring a flat Earth for this argument. He's worried that you'll point that out to him. It's all right, though. I'll do it.
We're having a conversation about basic trig and its application.
No, you're not. You're not talking about trig if you're measuring Polaris. Do you think you need trig for Polaris? Do you think that's what they're doing out on the boats with the sextants? They're doing trig? No, they're not. They're doing celestial navigation. It's different. It's not trig. Can you apply trig to something you can actually acquire the height of, like a lighthouse? Yes, you can. But that's not what is being done. When you're using Polaris, you're either going to use it for an area of equal elevation to plot your position with, or you're going to use it for latitude. Now, you're going to be using it inevitably with latitude either way, because it's plotted on all the flat maps that we navigate the Earth flat with, and draw circles, that's flat, 2D circles, on Cartesian flat grid systems that have been derived from flat Earth elevation angle measurements of Polaris. Did that involve the height, Red? Seems like you don't know much about this subject, dum-dum.
The flat Earth.
I think that's exactly what I was saying. And I think we're having a lovely conversation.
Do you? I do too, Reds. I thought it was delectable how wonderful that you can measure a flat Earth and then ponder how you'll apply those flat Earth measurements to a flat Earth. Imply that flat Earth measurements won't work on a flat Earth. Well, you can do that. I find it delightful too. But you will be needing a flat Earth and measuring a flat Earth, Reds. You are measuring a flat Earth, son.
Here, I think everyone agrees we're having a.
I agree that you're measuring a flat Earth.
Lovely conversation here.
Yeah, you could just harp on about how nice the conversation is for a prolonged period. I'll just reiterate how Earth's been measured flat on multiple occasions by Rhetoric. That's what I'll do.
What happened?
I haven't told you to go fuck yourself with a rake or anything like
Hey, Reds! Earth's measured flat. Go fuck yourself.
that. I'm just saying, you
Keyword
are bringing
apparent.
up a whole bunch of things like perspective.
Perspective? I don't think he did. I'm pretty sure he talked about this elevation angle measurement. You brought up perspective, Reds. Seems like you're strawmanning with your own crap that you also need a flat Earth for. You're not going to be getting perspective out of Earth as a sphere after you use your flat Earth measurements to turn Earth into a spherical surface in Earth curve mathematics. Perspective vanishes, you stupid clown. It seems like you've not been keeping up with your globe Earth credits, Red. It also seems like you're persistently using flat Earth measurements to make those reifications of a globe that doesn't include perspective. And when you start detailing perspective, unlike your opponent you were responding to, or failing to, you tell him he shouldn't be bringing it up? It seems like you can't keep track.
Which is absolutely irrelevant, and I explained.
Why did you bring it up then?
To you in vivid detail how the mathematical equations that explain perspective is ultimately irrelevant to this particular problem that I'm now presenting to you.
What problem would that be, Reds? The problem of measuring Earth flat for the angles that you'll apply after the fact that they've been measured on a flat plane to a flat plane you say they don't work with? Is that the problem he's not addressed? Oh, I'll address it. If it had been put to me, Reds, I'd have said, why do I need to apply flat Earth elevation angle measurements to a flat Earth? That seems like it's redundant. We've measured Earth flat. Is that not good enough? Maybe you could show me some globe Earth measurements, and when you do, I'll show you how A, they don't include perspective, and B, you call perspective Earth curve after you measure Earth flat with surface level and eye level, parallel with one another. So you'll need a flat surface level to derive the inference of an Earth curve edge horizon that doesn't include perspective. But we'll still be measuring Earth flat to do that too. Like these flat Earth elevation angles to this star you call Polaris, that you think sailors worry about the height of? Dumbo.
Now I know, Shane, let me just make you aware of something. You're probably very good at the word salad. It's not going to work here.
Does that seem like projection to anybody else here, or is it just me?
I know.
This whole thing is projection.
I know.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, this whole thing is projection. Yeah, it's a straw man. It's projection, and I have a good rant going on when you're done. So let me know.
No, now you go ahead. This is your moment.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, well, first of all, it should be made clear right away that celestial navigation does not use the height of stars. It's not trigonometry, and there's a very simple way. Because this is the Glober's cleverest tactic to bring up to try and get you to agree to the heights of stars. There's a very simple way to turn it around on them. When they start asking you, can you measure heights of stars? You say, I don't know. Can you measure heights of stars? And then they either have to say yes or no. And if they say yes, to ask them, what are the heights of some of these stars then? Because it's their claim. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And if you've got an advanced knowledge, if they lie and say that they're taking angle measurements, A, you can point out that's a flat Earth measurement. B, you can point out that no, you can derive a radial value, extrapolate out orbital motion, scale the whole thing with Huygens, and then claim distance. But that will need a flat Earth measurement in the first instance to start this process. Like everything, we're taking elevation angles off a flat Earth to the stars, just like Rhetoric did.
How you operate. And I know the answer to the questions about what is perspective, the mathematical equations behind it, and I know what is and is not relevant to this question I'm now presenting to you. So please stay on topic. Let's try and get through this together. I'm trying to help you here. I understand this is kind of scary because this information is not...
Oh, bless. It's kind of scary. What is the flat Earth measurements that you've used in Boston? Or were the flat Earth measurements in Florida the scary bit? Which flat Earth measurements do you perceive his fear to be in regards to there, Reds?
and you just called out projection, and he's projecting again, like next sentence.
Yep.
Plagiarized, but I need you to work with me here. So, to repeat, we get a measurement from Boston.
Would that be an elevation angle measurement? Like an altitude angle, as you called it, Rhetoric? I'm pretty sure it was an altitude angle measurement in Boston, so we'll define what that is for Rhetoric, because he seems to think that this application after the fact flat Earth measurement isn't a flat Earth measurement, because after the fact, after the measurement, after you've used a flat Earth to get it, it won't work with a flat Earth, says Rhetoric by baseless assertion. But let's just define what measurement Rhetoric's about to get from a flat Earth, from sustainable by design. The altitude angle, open brackets, sometimes referred to as, quote, solar elevation angle, end quote, close brackets, describes how high the sun appears in the sky. The angle is measured between an imaginary line between the observer and the sun and the horizontal plane the observer is standing on. End quote, full stop. Sustainable by design, altitude angle. So Reds is about to launch into telling this man, who he perceives to be in fear, that he's about to get a flat Earth measurement from Boston. Okay, we're all clear. Good. Now it's defined.
Altitude angle measurement. We get an altitude angle measurement.
Welcome to flat Earth.
From Miami.
On a flat Earth.
And we do the exact same thing in Panama City.
On a flat Earth. On a horizontal plane the observer is standing on in Panama.
We do all of this. We plot our results on a flat Earth.
Why? You've just measured them with respect to a flat Earth. Are you going to suggest that these flat Earth angle measurements that could only be measured on a flat Earth, they are angles, they have flat baselines, won't work on a flat baseline? That seems kind of contradictory, but let's see what he says.
When we do, we find that we get contradictory answers for the altitude of Polaris.
Nobody's trying to get the altitude of Polaris. You're not showing us how we get contradictory answers or why that would worry somebody in practical application. Sorry, I'll just say it again. Captain, we need the higher Polaris immediately! Why? Well, we'll die if we don't have it! No, we don't need the height. Its GP would be useful. Its position on the ground, its ground position. That's kind of what we're shooting for. We need an altitude angle measurement to figure out its GP so we can draw a circle of equal elevation on the ground. Because that's where we are. We're on the ground and we need to know where the frig we are. You think we need the height? Yes, Captain! Rhetoric told me we need the height! And if we plot these flat Earth angles to this star on a flat Earth, they won't work! To get the height! What are we going to do? Yeah, we don't need the height. We're all good, actually. I think we need to toss this navigator overboard and make him swim back to shore and maybe beat Rhetoric to death with a sextant.
Andy just said that there's contradictory answers. Well, it's his claim, so there's contradictory answers to his own claim.
His straw man. He's trying to force this onto his opponent like it's his claim, remember? It seems like it's actually his claim because he's the only one who's aired it in any way, shape or form. He's been talking 90% of the time. But apparently this is his opponent's claim, aka a straw man. It just seems like it's actually his claim because he's forced it on his opponent. Anyway, I'm going to do a quick shout out. So shout out to... Oh, why can't I see that super chat? Hold on one second. Shout out to Misfit FB850. Good day, Nathan. Pretty flat here in Panama City. Thank you very much for the super chat.
We get contradictory answers. Would that not lead one to obviously conclude that the model itself...
That your height's wrong when you don't need it. So you say height's wrong, contradictory height. Now you're extrapolating out that garbage that was measured flat to prove nothing with respect to a height you don't need. Debunks a model that nobody's asserted. Oh, you got a lighter glass, haven't you, bless 'em? Yes, an old string of fallacies and non sequiturs there, you little sod.
Has inherent contradictions within it.
Are you good? Can I speak?
If you can answer that question, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So
you didn't ask him anything. You made an assertion that flat Earth measurements don't work for height. Ergo, model fails. Okay. Then you asked him if he could only respond if he could answer that question. Do you understand what a question is, Reds? Are you this stupid? Yeah? Do you not know how to form a question?
no, of course that wouldn't signify to me there are inherent contradictions with the model. What it signifies is there are inherent contradictions with the assumptions you're building in there, right? For number one, perspective affects everything on this earth: mountains, tall people, buildings, scenery that you recede into the perspective, you recede into the horizon due to perspective, according to distance proportionally at the same rate. And the stars do it actually at the same rate, at the same puzzle, for something totally different called curvature. So the causal mechanism of perspective.
What's he talking about? He was doing all right until he said for curvature. The stars recede in the same way as perspective for curvature. I don't understand what this guy's even babbling about now.
Perspective actually is applied to the sky the same as it is to anything on the ground, and that's why Polaris appears at a different altitude due to perspective when it's actually at the same height, right? Moving.
Yeah, I have this out with Brian occasionally. Brian would infer that the only way you could accurately, he says, describe it, but I would say compare it, is to use the word perspective. You know, you move away from a building, it recedes towards the horizon. As you get further away from it, its angular size reduces. Well, in terms of what Polaris does, you could compare it in the same manner to perspective as this guy's done. Now, he's done a poor job because he included curvature somehow, like it's incorporated. Now, if you're going to include that in your rebuttal to Reds, when it wasn't a question you were having put to him, you should have just said, you didn't ask me anything. You made a statement based on the height not being right. Okay. Oh no, I'm going to die. We don't have the higher Polaris. That's an infinite distance when you're using celestial navigation on... Sorry, I'll correct that. In a globe.
Moving around, because the 69 statute miles per degree relationship, 69.07 statute miles per degree, or 60
is a flat Earth measurement. Let's see if he points it out. Come on, Shane, I'm with you all the way, man. Come on.
nautical miles per degree. When you travel laterally across a horizontal surface, the stars appear to precess depending on your direction 1 degree. That's definitely.
Yeah, man. This guy knows what he knows. He just doesn't realize how strong it is.
An observable phenomenon. Your model is built upon the.
Yeah, you've taken this as a refutation of his arduous non sequitur about perspective, because you've attempted to try and explain why Polaris falls towards the horizon as you back away from it, with a relation when measured on a flat Earth at 1 degree for every 60 nautical miles as we lay it down on the latitude grid. All flat Earth measurements. But instead it's been cheapened as a response to perspective. There's no need to know why it does what it does. It does what it does, and we use it for positional information. I don't have to call it perspective. Now, I'm not going to say that Brian or you are wrong, but it kind of cheapens the facts of the matter when we're just measuring a flat Earth. This guy is so close to the mark, right? I want all of my audience to subscribe to this guy and give him encouragement and just basically tell him he's ace, because he's so close. Wouldn't you all agree?
Yes, he is just not articulating certain things correctly, in my opinion, and just missing just a couple of good segues to push the argument. Like, now is a perfect time to point out what step in celestial navigation do we measure heights of stars? Well, we don't measure heights of stars in celestial navigation, and then you can point out that, or ask him if, are you saying there's heights of stars? If there is, then what are they? Push it back on him.
This guy deserves a lot more subscribers, therefore a lot more people in his comment section going, oh, have you thought of phrasing it this way? Did you realise that that's a flat Earth measurement? Did you realise he's applying it as a flat Earth measurement and asking how it works on a flat Earth? If we, that's the collective audience of Nathan Oakley 1980, were subscribed to this guy, he would be a monster. This Shane guy would be really, really good, because he knows his stuff. So I really want to encourage this guy. Please go and subscribe to him. I've just put a link to Shane St. Pierre's channel. And like all of us, man, it is criminal that this guy's got less than 1,000 subscribers. He can't even monetize his material. So I'll do another shout out for him in future. Hopefully there's a substantial wedge of people that's here now. I'm just going to have a quick look. Over 100 people, 121 people. All of you go and subscribe to Shane St. Pierre immediately. Leave him a comment and let him know at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. I'm not even going to do a call to action that suggests he should do the same for me. I'd feel almost rude given that he's got such little penetration. This is, while I bleat and moan about how I'm poor and I'm in my overdraft this month and all the rest of it, this guy's obviously doing this out of the goodness of his own heart. He's got no financial investment in it whatsoever. He's not gaining any popularity, presumably. I had a quick glance and he has got some material on his channel. He's been recommended to me by Craig, who's obviously been watching him in the past as well, and he's got 600 just over subscribers. What a joke. You cannot get a foothold in YouTube as a flat earther. Now, any other subject matter, this guy would have 10,000 subscribers. He's got 600 plus. That's it. What a joke. Let's just refresh it and see if my audience has actually gone and done what I've asked.
When it's actually at the same height.
No, it's still the same. Please go and subscribe to him. If you're in my live audience now, I'm not kidding. Click on the link. It's going by. Give him a sub. Go and watch him. Give him some encouragement. Oh, there is people actually going in there. It's just not showing up on his subs count yet. I hope you do well, mate. But while it might have seemed that we're being hypercritical, if I get my words out, of you in this, I stress it more than ever. You sound like you know exactly what you're talking about, and just with a little intonation on one word over and above what you're doing already, you could be an absolute monster. You could be demolishing Red. Now I realise, I know he's on Red's stream. He's probably being muted left and right, given very limited opportunity to actually respond. He feels like my guests. The difference being that when we point out to our guests how they have used fallacy and then detail it to them as they start chanting through us, he's not doing that to Reds. He's not been proven wrong by Reds. We've got a bit of ambiguity in terms of perspective, Earth curve, and celestial navigation / trig, which it isn't. So there's a bit of refinement that Shane needs, and like I say, be unstoppable, I think.
Right, moving around, because the 69 statute miles per degree relationship, 69.07 statute miles per degree, or 60 nautical miles per degree, when you travel laterally across a horizontal surface, the stars appear to precess depending on your direction 1 degree. That's definitely an observable phenomenon. Your model,
and only observable on a flat Earth. Right, we've had a bit of a repetition of his best moment that we've had so far. Hopefully some of my audience will let him know, or if you haven't done so already, please let him know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. And yeah, we'll have a little chit chat about it while we're still live. Or we won't, or everyone will clam up. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
I was gonna say, I think Shane has been in chat a few times. He always seemed like good people to me.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone else got any comments on either Shane or Reds? Feel free.
Reds is a snake who uses their cleverest tactic to, try to push the heights of stars. And Shane knows his stuff. He just needs to say a couple of different things, I think. But it's good debate.
Cool. Well, you can check out the rest of it on Shane's channel. There is, as I say, a link going by in the live stream chat right now. So please let Shane St. Pierre know, at Nathan Oakley 1980 sent me. But with that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. I don't think I'll eat a bacon sandwich at the beginning of the show again. Munching it ruined the pace. And it repeated on me in the intro.
I was wondering what was happening. I was like, I don't know if I should jump in or I was waiting for you to take the lead.
At 5 to the hour, my wife turned up with a bacon sandwich. I was like, oh, I really want that while it's hot. I'm just going to start eating it. I don't care. Just started scoffing it. I was halfway through talking to that other guy, and I'm like, God, get another mouthful of this bacon sandwich. It's too delicious to just leave there.
Well, if it's bacon, I totally understand,
I've seen not a bunch, but I've seen Shane talk about celestial navigation before. And I was really surprised you didn't jump on him when he started declaring that you need the heights of the stars. I was really expect him to say something about that immediately. Didn't.
It's very different when you're in
No,
someone
listen,
else's
this might
company
be
and
an
it's
old
their show.
video.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, no, not unless this is, I don't know how old this video is. I mean, this video is from like 2 years ago or something. Maybe
3 days.
You didn't know.
3 days.
Oh, never mind.
It was really good for me that you guys were going over the fact that you're not getting the height to the star. You know, they've been using that against us, or at least not against us, as a distraction for a lot of years. You know, and I there was something that Quantum Racer put up the other week or the other day. Said the celestial navigation elevation triangle in this particular case is a different one because you're not getting a height to something that's on Earth. You're trying to get, you know, just an angle from a star, you know, and it's very important that we know that there's a difference between the two.
Right. For some reason, the stars don't behave the same way as things on Earth do. Like we can get the height using trig of the lighthouse or building, but not stars. And I guess we don't know why, because we don't know the nature of the stars, but it just doesn't work that way. That's why we have celestial navigation, not trig. Celestial navigation is its own thing. Nowhere in celestial navigation does it say, step 3, measure the heights of stars. No.
That's what I say. I say, you know, I quote them. You know, I quote them sarcastically. I say, "Oh, let's do the math that no one's gonna do using the 90-degree that we're all gonna have to."
Exactly. I've been in the trenches and comments and, internet battles so many times, and it's really fun to turn around because as soon as they mention it, I just ask them, oh, wait, so are you saying you can measure the heights of stars or you can't measure the heights of stars? And then they try to say, you should be able to. I'm like, okay, then what are the heights? And then they're like, no, you need to tell me the heights. I'm like, I'm not looking at the heights of stars. I'm looking at the ground. And it's a funny back and forth when you catch it, when you can, catch it early. It turns out to be quite humorous.
Yeah, I'll bet they need the straw man, but their model fails not only in the measurement to make the straw man argument, but in application to heights itself. They can't infer heights from inside a globe to an infinite star field in the celestial sphere model with a globe inside it, off the equatorial plane. What are your heights? Oh, they fail miserably. Maybe if you just assert this as a straw man that I've got to assert when I'm not even claiming it, with flat earth measurements that you're using, I'm using, you can't get the heights and I don't need to, then suddenly this fails miserably for me? No, definitely not.
It's very similar for when they ask for a flat earth map. And, there's different ways you can go with that. But most of the time, they already have in their mind the Gleason map. So I had this one exchange a while back where this guy was saying, where's your flat earth map? Well, I say all maps are flat. And then he mentions, oh, then we get into, well, what's an accurate map? Well, if it's used to navigate, then it must be accurate. And all maps used to navigate are flat. And then he gets to trying to strawman me with the Gleason map, saying, is this an accurate map? I was like, I've never used it. Have you? And then he says, people have used it for thousands of years to navigate or whatever. Or he said something like that. I don't think it's thousands of years. And I said, well, there you go. There's your flat earth map. What's the problem? So it's very simple to turn it around on them when you can identify the straw man right away.
Yeah. Skill.
So there is a video from Shane where he goes into trying to get their best argument, which includes these heights. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Nope.
Yeah, because his main point is trying to take down the argument about getting heights and having the sun in different places. And so he goes through it and refutes where if you're looking at different positions and the sun appears in different places. I can try to pull it up.
Well, that killed the conversation.
I was thinking, I hate dead air, but I'm just like, that makes me go into my head and I go, what do I say? What do I say? So I apologize. I try to keep it going as best I can sometimes.
There's something funny in the air today.
Maybe it's been a weird week, but at the same time, like the show has been top. It's been wow. Like the things like deep inside, but when you hear them in a certain way and they go ding 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 in your head. That's been this week for a lot of us, I think.
Yeah, it's been a good week. It's been a good couple of weeks.
So I have the video, I just don't know where to drop it. Link.
If this guy drops it in Discord, can someone bang it in Master B?
I can get on Discord real quick.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think it's Shane's main channel is called Space Audits. So that's where this one's from.
Yeah, you can put the word space in front of anything and make it sound cool. Space Gold, for example, from yesterday.
Yep, rocks the cousins.
Same with quantum. You can just put that word in front of anything and make it sound cool.
A while ago, I think this is so spot on. All globe evidence is just people misunderstanding what they see in the sky, right? Everyone knows you need flat baseline to take any elevation angles to the sky, but also the sun's ecliptic and the path it takes and the arc it makes in your hemispherical vision is what the baseline was for creating the globe in the first place. Of course, 100.
Awesome. Is this the same guy?
Yep, it's the same guy.
Well, why is it that 2 weeks ago, in the first 33 seconds of his video, he's, I take it all back. The guy doesn't need our help. You know what I mean? He does know exactly how strong this argument is. Why didn't he say that to Rhetoric 3 days ago?
Maybe he was nervous live.
He must have been nervous, yeah.
No, he wants to give them their best argument and just give them their best assumption and try to work within that.
I think just Rhetoric Jedi mind tricked him.
Yeah, plus, to be fair, he didn't really talk a lot either.
No, he didn't.
It was all mostly just Red going on and on.
Yep.
Maybe he just didn't want to interrupt and get kicked off or whatever.
Yeah, unjustifiably filibustering. It's not like he's actually won any points. These flat earth measurements don't work on a flat earth when I apply my flat earth measurements to a flat earth. Okay, so that's your justification to filibuster, is it? No.
Like I said, he's good with Celestial Nav, but he also gets into a lot of crazy ether stuff too with Witsit. Like, I think they're all buddies, which is fine.
Right.
I mean, who cares? But I'm pretty sure Space Audits, like, because I'm subscribed to them, and I'll see Witsit on there all the time. Well, not all the time, but yeah, like once a week.
Fair enough. I can't decry him based on who he associates with.
No, it's just like they do a lot of like ether cosmology and whatnot also. But I mean, he is good with the celestial nav argument. I've learned stuff from him before for sure.
Cool, good.
He didn't do that good against Ruhif either on Jaren's show a couple weeks ago. Maybe he just isn't a good debater.
Well, evidently, just based on that last video clip, you know, he immediately was like, "You need a flat Earth for this." In so many words, you're like, "Yeah, man."
He just doesn't get excited when he says it.
Yeah, that's what I mean by just a little bit of extra emphasis on a couple of those words, and you'd be demolishing people. And then you play a clip, and he's saying it in exactly the way you'd want him to be in front of Rhetoric.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, I subbed to him. I'll go check out some more of his material. Because I've never like subbed to his channel. I just tend to see him, and like I've seen him on Jaren a couple times, and I've seen him in his own live streams. You know, from well, not his live streams, but the Ether Cosmology guy. I was subscribed to him. Space Audits, because I'm pretty sure Space Audits and Shane are different people. I think Space Audits was the guy that was kind of trying to do the color commentary in the background.
Oh, okay.
Which he's good with Celestial Nav too. But you know, they spend 5 minutes talking about Celestial Nav, then 3 hours talking about the Ether and Mickelson Morley and Redshift, and I just kind of tune out.
Fair enough. It is clearly going to be a very slow day. So, with that, I'm going to round out this live show. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making this rather morose, slow after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams. Hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.